The morning sun rose over New Horizon, casting a pink glow across the human settlement. 15 years had passed since the first ships landed on Proxima Centauri b, and the colony had grown from a collection of prefabricated shelters to a thriving community of nearly 5,000 people. Governor Frank Miller stood at the large window of his office watching colonists begin their day. Workers headed to the agricultural domes, scientists walked toward their labs, and children ran to the colony's single school building. It was a sight that never failed to fill him with pride. "Governor, Dr. Ward is here to see you," said his assistant through the intercom. Frank straightened his jacket. "Send her in." Dr. Olivia Ward entered the room with quick steps, her usual calm demeanor replaced with barely contained excitement. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy pawnwork, and she clutched a tablet in her hand so tightly her knuckles were white. "Governor, you need to see this," she said, not bothering with greetings. She placed the tablet on his desk and pulled up a series of atmospheric readings. "These patterns appeared 3 days ago. At first I thought it was just a glitch in our sensors, but we've confirmed it with 3 different monitoring stations." Frank looked at the data, but the complex charts meant little to him. "What am I looking at, Olivia?" "Evidence of artificial atmospheric disturbance." Her eyes were bright. "Something or someone is affecting our upper atmosphere in a way that cannot be explained by natural phenomena." Frank's heart raced. "Are you saying yes?" She nodded. "I believe we're not alone on this planet, or at least, not in this star system." Within hours, Frank had assembled an emergency council meeting. The colony's leadership gathered around the conference table. Dr. Ward, Security Officer Jack Peterson, a former military man with a perpetual frown, Chief Engineer Ben Lewis, Communications Director Heather Brooks, and Medical Officer Nicole Harris. "I want to lead a small team to investigate," Dr. Ward explained, pointing to a map of the terrain. "The readings are strongest in this region, about 50 miles north of the colony." Jack Peterson crossed his arms. "This could be dangerous. We have no idea what we're dealing with." "Which is exactly why we need to find out," Dr. Ward countered. "If there is another intelligent species here, we need to establish peaceful contact before any misunderstandings occur." After much debate, Governor Miller approved a small expedition. Dr. Ward would lead, with Officer Peterson handling security and 2 research assistants to help collect data. They would take a rover and be gone no more than 3 days. The team departed the next morning. The rover moved easily across the reddish plains of Proxima Centauri b, its wheels specially designed for the rocky terrain. Dr. Ward sat in the front, constantly checking her instruments, while Jack Peterson kept his hand near his sidearm, watching the horizon. "The readings are getting stronger," Dr. Ward said after several hours of travel. "Whatever it is, we're getting close." As they crested a hill, they saw it, a structure unlike anything humans had built. It looked like a tower made of a shimmering material that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. Around it were smaller, dome-shaped buildings. "Stop here," Jack ordered. "We observe from a distance first." They set up observation equipment and spent hours watching the structures. Occasionally, they saw movement, figures that were clearly not human, though from this distance it was hard to make out details. "We need to try to communicate," Dr. Ward said finally. "That's why we came." "It's too risky," Jack argued. "We should return to the colony and bring more security." Dr. Ward shook her head. "First contact should be scientific, not military. If we show up with weapons, they might see it as a threat." In the end, they compromised. Jack and 1 assistant would stay with the rover and the heavy equipment. Dr. Ward and the other assistant, a young man named Greg, would approach slowly, carrying only communication devices and small sample collection tools. As they walked toward the alien structure, Dr. Ward activated a universal greeting beacon, a simple signal designed by Earth scientists to indicate peaceful intentions through mathematical sequences that should be recognizable to any technological civilization. They were about halfway to the structure when figures emerged to meet them. The aliens were roughly human-sized but had 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like their buildings. Their faces had 3 large eyes arranged in a triangle, and instead of a mouth, they had what looked like small tentacles that moved constantly. Dr. Ward stopped and raised her empty hands. "Hello?" she said, knowing they wouldn't understand the word but hoping her tone would convey peace. The alien stopped too. One stepped forward, its skin turning a bright blue. It made sounds, clicks and whistles that obviously had meaning. For nearly an hour, they stood there trying to establish basic communication. Dr. Ward showed them simple objects, a rock, a plant sample, water, and spoke their names. The aliens seemed to understand the concept and responded with their own sounds. For each item, progress was slow but promising. The alien skin colors seemed to be part of their communication, shifting with each sound they made. Dr. Ward activated her sampling device to record atmospheric data, hoping to understand more about the aliens' biology. That was when everything went wrong. The device emitted a high-pitched tone as it started scanning. Immediately, the alien's skin turned dark red. They backed away quickly, making harsh clicking sounds. Before Dr. Ward could turn off the device, they had retreated to their structure. "I think we scared them," she said to Greg. "Let's back away slowly and give them space." They returned to the rover, where Jack was watching tensely through binoculars. "What happened?" "A misunderstanding, I think," Dr. Ward explained. "My scanner seemed to frighten them." "We should leave," Jack insisted. "Now." Dr. Ward was about to argue when her communication device beeped with an urgent message from the colony. Heather's voice came through, filled with panic. "Return immediately. We're detecting multiple objects entering orbit. They appeared right after you made contact. Governor Miller is ordering all colonists to shelters." They sped back toward the colony, pushing the rover to its limits. As they approached New Horizon, they saw flashes of light in the sky. "No," whispered Dr. Ward. "They're bombing us." The first impacts hit the agricultural domes, shattering them. Then the power station exploded in a ball of fire. People ran screaming as more explosions rocked the colony. The rover skidded to a stop at the colony's edge, and they watched in horror as buildings crumbled and fires spread. Jack grabbed his larger weapon from the rover. "We need to help evacuate people to the emergency bunkers." For hours, they worked to save as many colonists as possible, pulling people from damaged buildings and directing them to safety. The orbital bombardment continued for nearly 40 minutes, then suddenly stopped. As night fell, Governor Miller gathered the surviving leadership in an underground shelter. Nearly 200 colonists were dead, with hundreds more injured. Half the colony lay in ruins. "Why did they stop?" Ben Lewis asked, his face streaked with soot. "They could have wiped us out completely." No one had an answer. "They must be preparing for a ground invasion," Jack said grimly. But as they monitored what sensors remained functional, they detected something unexpected. All the alien ships were moving away. Within hours, there was no sign of them in orbit. "Don't understand," Governor Miller said, looking at the confused faces around him. "They attack us and then just leave?" Dr. Ward stared at the data readings. "We're missing something important here." None of them could have predicted what would happen next. 3 days passed since the bombing. The survivors of New Horizon worked tirelessly to restore basic services. Medical Officer Nicole Harris hadn't slept more than 2 hours at a time, treating the wounded with dwindling supplies. The colony's main medical facility had been destroyed, forcing her team to work from a makeshift clinic in the emergency bunker. "We're running out of antibiotics," she told Governor Miller during the morning briefing, "and the burn treatments are nearly gone." Around the table, the remaining colony leaders looked exhausted. Jack Peterson had organized the survivors into security teams, expecting the aliens to return at any moment. Ben Lewis worked to restore power to critical systems. Heather Brooks monitored communications, trying to repair their damaged satellite, linked to call for help from Earth. "The situation is dire," Governor Miller admitted. "But we've survived. We'll rebuild." Just as the meeting ended, a young security officer burst into the room. "Sir, you need to see this." The colony leaders followed him to the perimeter of the settlement. There, just beyond the boundary markers, sat a large container that hadn't been there an hour earlier. It was made of the same color-shifting material as the alien structures. It just appeared, the security officer explained. No one saw how it got here. Jack immediately ordered his team to surround the container, weapons ready. It could be a bomb or a biological weapon. Dr. Ward stepped forward. Or it could be something else entirely. Let me scan it first. Her readings showed no explosive, materials or radiation. After careful examination, Jack allowed a team to approach and open the container. Inside, they found neatly organized packages of what appeared to be medical supplies, building materials, and food. I don't understand, Governor Miller said, examining a package labeled with symbols similar to those on their own medical supplies. Dr. Ward carefully opened one of the medical packages. Inside was a gel substance unlike anything they had seen before. We should test these before using them, she warned. Jack remained suspicious. This could be a trap. They attack us, then send gifts? It doesn't make sense. They brought the supplies back to the bunker for analysis. Nicole tested the gel on a minor burn wound of a volunteer and was astonished by the results. The healing rate is incredible, better than anything we have. The building materials proved to be stronger and lighter than Earth equivalents. The food packets contained nutrients perfectly suited for human consumption. These aren't just random supplies, Dr. Ward noted. They're exactly what we need most. The next morning, another container appeared in the same spot. This one held advanced power cells and equipment that could help repair their communications system. A third container arrived the day after, with more medical supplies and water purification technology. I don't get it, Jack said during an emergency council meeting. Why would they bomb us and then send help? Heather Brooks had been working constantly to understand the alien communications they had recorded. I think I might have an answer, she said, her voice showing her exhaustion. I've been analyzing the signals between their ships during the attack. Their communications changed drastically right after the first bombing run. She played a recording of alien sounds, clicks, whistles, and tones that meant nothing to human ears. Listen to this pattern here, she said, pointing to a visual representation of the sounds. It repeats over and over with increasing intensity. I believe it's an emotional response. What kind of emotion? Governor Miller asked. Based on the pattern changes and comparing it to human speech patterns during emotional states. Heather hesitated. I think they were horrified, maybe even embarrassed. The room fell silent as they considered this possibility. You're saying they attacked us and then felt bad about it? Jack asked incredulously. It would explain the gifts, Dr. Ward said slowly. What if the bombing was a mistake, or a misunderstanding? 5 days after the bombing, a smaller container appeared. Inside was a device unlike the others. It had a simple interface with lights and a speaker. Dr. Ward carefully activated it. A series of clicks and whistles came from the device, followed by broken mechanical words in English. We offer deepest apologies. We made terrible mistake. Please accept gifts as small token of regret. The colony leader stared at the translation device in shock. They're apologizing for bombing us? Jack asked, disbelief clear in his voice. Dr. Ward studied the device. They must have analyzed our language from the colony's broadcasts and created this translator. Governor Miller took the device. Can we respond? It took Heather and Dr. Ward several hours to figure out how to use the device to send a message back. They crafted a simple response. We receive your message. We wish to understand. What happened? Why did you attack us? The answer came the next day with another delivery of supplies. Great misunderstanding. Your scanning device, same pattern as weapon targeting. We thought attack coming. We made horrible error. No excuse for our action. We are shamed. Over the next few days, they established limited communication with the aliens who called themselves the Zentari. Each message revealed more about the alien culture. To the Zentari, accidental harm to another intelligent species was considered the ultimate disgrace. Their society demanded they make amends. Not everyone in the colony accepted this explanation. Many had lost loved ones in the attack. A group led by Sam Douglas, whose wife had died in the bombing, demanded justice rather than gifts. They murdered our people, Sam shouted during a colony-wide meeting. And now we're supposed to forgive them because they feel bad and send us presents? His anger resonated with many survivors. Governor Miller struggled to keep peace among his own people while figuring out how to deal with the remorseful aliens. We need to establish direct contact, Dr. Ward argued. Send someone to meet with them face to face. After much debate, Governor Miller appointed Eric Garcia as the colony's ambassador. Eric had been a diplomat on Earth before joining the New Horizon mission. I'll go, Eric said. But Officer Peterson should come with me for security. A message was sent to the Zentari requesting a meeting. The answer came quickly. They would meet at a neutral location halfway between the human colony and the alien settlement. The night before the meeting, another gift arrived at the colony. This one contained devices that would help them rebuild their homes and infrastructure better than before. Included was a note. We will wait for you at designated location. We accept any terms you require. Our shame is beyond measure. As Eric E. and Jack prepared to leave for the meeting, Governor Miller pulled them aside. We're in a unique position here, he said quietly. They clearly have technology far beyond ours. They could have destroyed us completely, but instead they're begging for forgiveness. Whatever happens tomorrow, remember that this could be the beginning of something unprecedented. The sun rose on the day of the meeting, casting long shadows across the alien landscape. Eric and Jack set out in one of the few remaining rovers carrying the translation device and uncertain expectations. What waited for them would change the future of human-alien relations forever. The meeting point was a flat area of land with a small hill on one side. Eric and Jack arrived first, setting up a simple canopy for shade against the alien sun. Jack checked his weapon for the 10th time, keeping it holstered but ready. Remember, we're here to talk, not fight, Eric reminded him. Jack nodded but remained alert. After waiting for nearly an hour, they spotted movement on the horizon. 3 Zentari approached, walking on 2 legs but using their forearms to carry what appeared to be more gifts. Their skin shifted through shades of blue and green. They looked nervous, Eric observed. If that's even possible for aliens. The Zentari stopped about 20 feet away. The one in the center set down its packages and stepped forward. Its skin settled into a deep blue color. Using their own translation device, it spoke. I am Zolteth, chosen speaker. We bring more offerings. We await your judgment. Eric stepped forward as well. I am Eric Garcia, ambassador for the human colony of New Horizon. This is Security Officer Jack Peterson. Zolteth's skin rippled briefly to a purple shade, then back to blue. Your presence honors us despite our terrible action. We cannot undo death. We can only offer amends. Eric explained that they wanted to understand what had happened. Zolteth told them that Zentari culture placed the highest value on peaceful coexistence. Their mistake in attacking the humans was considered the gravest possible error. In our history, such a mistake has only happened twice before, Zolteth explained. Both times our people spent generations making amends. Generations? Jack asked. You expect this to go on that long? Zolteth's skin turned a pale yellow. It is our way. Your forgiveness cannot be purchased with mere gifts. True amends require time and dedication. They learned that the Zentari had lived on the planet for thousands of years, but stayed hidden from the human colony, observing from a distance. Dr. Ward's expedition was the first direct contact. When your device activated, it emitted an energy, pattern identical to our ancient weapons, Zolteth explained. We believed you were targeting our settlement. Our defense systems responded automatically. But you stopped the attack, Eric noted. Yes. As soon as we realized you were not the aggressors we thought, we halted everything. But the damage was done. Our shame was complete. As they continued to talk, Eric learned more about Zentari culture. Their entire society was now focused on making amends to the humans. Every Zentari felt personally responsible for the error. Your gifts have been helpful, Eric acknowledged. But many of our people lost loved ones. Some want justice, not presents. Zolteth's skin turned a dark gray. We understand. In our culture, those who cause accidental harm must offer themselves to the harmed. If your people demand our lives, as payment we will comply. Eric was shocked. That's not our way. We don't want more death. Then how can we earn forgiveness? Zolteth asked. This question followed Eric and Jack back to the colony. Governor Miller called a meeting to discuss what they had learned. The colony leaders sat around the table in the emergency bunker, debating how to proceed. They're willing to do almost anything to make amends, Eric explained. It's deeply embedded in their culture. Good, Sam Douglas said bitterly. They can start by leaving our planet. Heather shook her head. Their technology could help us rebuild in weeks instead of years. And they were here first, Sam. Besides, Dr. Ward added, this is an opportunity for both species to learn from each other. Governor Miller listened to all sides before speaking. We need to be practical. Our colony is damaged. We have wounded people. Earth won't send help for years. We need the Zentari assistance. So we just forgive them? Sam asked angrily. No, the governor replied, but we can work toward understanding while accepting their help. Over the next few weeks, more Zentari gifts arrived. Each was more impressive than the last. New buildings rose where ruined ones had stood. The medical facility was rebuilt with technology far beyond what they had before. Injured colonists recovered with amazing speed thanks to Zentari medicine. Eric met regularly with Zolteth, establishing the foundation for formal relations between humans and Zentari. Jack often accompanied him, growing less suspicious with each meeting. During one visit, Eric asked a question that had been bothering him. What would have happened if we had attacked you in response? Zolteth's skin flashed with bands of red and blue. We would have accepted it as just. No Zentari would have defended themselves against your retaliation. That seems, Eric searched for the right word, extreme, Zolteth suggested. Perhaps, but it is our way. We believe that taking responsibility for mistakes is the foundation of civilization. As relations improved, some Zentari were invited to visit the colony. Their arrival caused a stir. Children especially were fascinated by the aliens whose skin changed colors with their emotions. Not everyone welcomed them. Sam Douglas and his supporters protested the Zentari presence. During one tense moment, Sam confronted a Zentari in the newly rebuilt marketplace. Your gifts don't bring back the dead, he shouted, his grief still raw. My wife is gone forever. Because of you. The Zentari's skin turned deep gray, almost black. It bowed its head and spoke softly through its translator. No gift can replace a loved one. I offer my life if it will ease your pain. Sam was taken aback. He had expected excuses or defense, not this complete acceptance of responsibility. For the first time, he saw the Zentari not as monsters but as beings capable of profound remorse. He walked away without another word, but something had changed. Meanwhile, Dr. Ward worked closely with Zentari scientists to understand each other's biology and culture. She discovered that their color-changing skin was both communication and emotional expression. Blue meant calm, green was curious, purple showed respect, yellow indicated uncertainty, and gray was deep sorrow or shame. What about red? She asked, her Zentari colleague. Red is alarm or danger, came the reply. The color we turned when we mistakenly thought you were attacking us. This information helped humans better understand their new neighbors. Slowly, mistrust began to fade. The colony started to look better than it had before the bombing. Zentari. Technology improved their food production, water purification, and energy systems. 6 months after the bombing, Governor Miller stood at the window of his new office, watching humans and Zentari working side by side to install a shield system that would protect the colony from natural disasters. We've come a long way, he said to Dr. Ward, who stood beside him. We have, she agreed. But there's still more to learn from each other. Outside, a group of human children played with young Zentari, their laughter a sound of hope for the future. The most unexpected outcome of a terrible mistake was unfolding before their eyes. The beginning of a friendship between two very different species. 8 months after the bombing, New Horizon looked better than ever. The colony had been completely rebuilt with Zentari help. New buildings gleamed in the alien sunlight, stronger and more efficient than before. The medical facility now had equipment that Earth scientists could only dream about. Food production had doubled thanks to Zentari agricultural techniques. Nicole Harris, the colony's medical officer, marveled at the healing pod the Zentari had provided. Inside lay Alan Wright, who had been severely burned during the bombing. For months he had hovered between life and death. Now his skin was nearly healed. His recovery is remarkable, Nicole told Governor Miller during his visit to the medical facility. 3 more days in the pod and he'll be ready to come out. Back on Earth, these injuries would have been fatal. Another life saved, Governor Miller said. That makes 17 people who would have died without Zentari medical technology. Not all the changes were technological. Cultural exchange had begun in earnest. Humans learned Zentari language and customs while the aliens studied human ways. Both species found each other fascinating and strange. Dr. Ward had become the leading expert on Zentari biology and culture. She spent most days at the new Interspecies Research Center, working alongside Zentari scientists. Their entire social structure is built around responsibility, she explained during a presentation to colony leaders. Taking blame for mistakes is not just encouraged, it's demanded. Avoiding responsibility is their version of a serious crime. That explains a lot, Eric said. He had been officially appointed as human ambassador to the Zentari. They're still bringing gifts every week, even though we've told them it's not necessary anymore. Heather Brooks, who had become fluent in Zentari language, added, "They have a saying that translates roughly to, 'amends have no end.' They believe making up for mistakes is a lifelong process." Outside the meeting room, the colony buzzed with activity. Human children attended classes with young Zentari, learning each other's ways. Some humans had even begun to understand the color-shifting emotions of Zentari skin without needing translators. Not everything was perfect. A small group of humans still resented the Zentari presence. Sam Douglas had become less vocal in his opposition, but he kept his distance from the aliens and encouraged others to do the same. "We can accept their help without becoming best friends," he often said. "They're still the ones who killed our people." His nephew Billy, however, had different ideas. The 10-year-old boy had lost his parents in the bombing and now lived with his uncle. Despite Sam's disapproval, Billy was fascinated by the Zentari and often snuck away to watch them work. One afternoon, as Billy observed Zentari engineers installing a new weather monitoring system, Sam came looking for him. "Billy, I told you to stay away from them," Sam said, pulling his nephew away. "But Uncle Sam, they're building something cool. Look at how they can climb without ladders." Sam frowned. "We don't need their tricks. Come on, we're going home." As they argued, warning sirens began to blare throughout the colony. Governor Miller's voice came over the emergency system. "Attention all colonists. We have detected a massive solar flare heading our way. All personnel must seek shelter immediately. This is not a drill." Solar flares were one of the biggest dangers on Proxima Centauri b. The red dwarf star they orbited was prone to violent eruptions that could fry electronics and cause severe radiation poisoning to anyone caught outside. Sam grabbed Billy's hand and ran toward the nearest shelter. All around them, humans and Zentari were rushing to safety. The colony's new shield system was still under construction and wouldn't protect them from this flare. They were halfway to the shelter when the sky began to glow an unnatural red. The flare was hitting earlier than expected. Sam felt his skin prickling from the increased radiation. "We're not going to make it," he realized with horror, looking at the distant still to cover. Suddenly, 3 Zentari appeared beside them. Without speaking, they surrounded Sam and Billy, their skin turning a deep blue color. The largest one pointed to a different direction than the main shelter. "Underground safe place closer," the Zentari said through its portable translator. "Follow now." Sam hesitated, his distrust warring with the need to protect Billy. The boy made the decision for him, pulling his hand toward the Zentari. "Uncle, Sam, we have to go." They followed the aliens to what looked like a maintenance hatch in the ground. Below was a Zentari emergency shelter, built without the humans' knowledge as part of their continued efforts to protect the colony. Inside, about 20 humans were already huddled with a dozen Zentari. The underground room was cool and well stocked with supplies. As Sam and Billy entered, the Zentari who had led them there turned to go back outside. "Where are you going?" Sam asked. "Others still outside. Must find them." "You'll die out there. The radiation levels are already dangerous." The Zentari's skin rippled with purple bands. "We have better resistance to radiation than humans. It is our duty to help." Before Sam could respond, the Zentari was gone, heading back into the deadly radiation to search for more people. For hours, they waited in the shelter as the solar flare raged above. Occasionally, more survivors were brought in by the Zentari search teams. Each time, the aliens returned with burns on their color-shifting skin, yet they continued to go back out. One Zentari did not return. Word spread through the shelter that it had died while carrying 2 human children to safety. Sam sat in stunned silence watching Billy sleep beside him. The Zentari had risked and even lost their lives to save humans who still blamed them for the bombing. When it was finally safe to leave the shelter, they emerged to find parts of the rebuilt colony damaged by the flare. Already, Zentari were working alongside humans to repair the damage. Governor Miller called an emergency meeting of colony leaders. "The Zentari have offered to evacuate us to their main settlement until repairs are complete," he announced. "Their protective shields are fully functional there. Can we trust them?" someone asked. Sam Douglas, who had been silent until now, stood up. "One of them died saving human children today. Many more were injured helping us. I think we can trust them." Everyone stared at Sam in surprise. He had been the loudest voice against the Zentari for months. "What changed your mind?" Governor Miller asked. Sam looked down for a moment. "They could have let us die. It would have balanced the scales for the bombing. Instead, they put themselves at risk to save us." He paused. "My wife would have wanted me to acknowledge that." As the meeting ended, Sam approached Zolteth, who had been sitting quietly in the corner. "I heard one of your people died today," Sam said awkwardly. Zolteth's skin turned a soft gray. "Yes, Kelmore gave his life for your young ones. It was an honor for him to do so. Thank you," Sam said simply, extending his hand in the human gesture of friendship. Zolteth looked at the offered hand, his skin shifting to purple with flecks of green, surprise mixed with hope. Then he reached out with one of his 4 hands and carefully shook Sam's. It was a small gesture, but for those who witnessed it, it felt like the true beginning of peace between their species. 5 years had passed since the bombing. The event that once divided humans and Zentari now brought them together in an annual ceremony of remembrance and celebration. What began as a terrible misunderstanding had transformed into the strongest interspecies alliance known to humanity. New Horizon was barely recognizable from its original form. The colony had grown to nearly 10,000 humans, with about 2,000 Zentari living alongside them. The buildings blended human and Zentari architecture, beautiful and practical at the same time. Dome-shaped homes with color-shifting walls stood next to Earth-style structures enhanced with alien technology. Dr. Olivia Ward walked through the central garden with Zolteth, planning the upcoming anniversary ceremony. Over the years, they had become close friends and now led the interspecies cultural exchange program together. "It's hard to believe it's been 5 years," Olivia said, watching human and Zentari children playing together on the grass. The young Zentari's skin rippled with bright yellow and green, colors of joy and excitement. "Time passes quickly when there is work to be done," Zolteth replied. His skin had settled into a comfortable blue with purple edges, showing his relaxed state and respect for his human friend. Their program had documented thousands of cultural practices from both species. Humans had adopted some Zentari customs, particularly their emphasis on taking responsibility for mistakes. The Zentari, in turn, had embraced human creativity and adaptability. "The Earth ship arrives tomorrow," Olivia reminded him. "The first official diplomatic mission from home." Zolteth's skin flickered briefly with yellow. Uncertainty. Do you think they will understand what we have built here? It was a valid concern. For years, the colony had sent messages back to Earth about their alliance with the Zentari. The responses had been cautious at best, alarmed at worst. Many Earth leaders worried that the aliens who once bombed humans could not be trusted. They'll understand when they see it, Olivia assured him. The next day, the entire colony gathered at the landing field to welcome the Earth ship, New Beginning. Governor Miller, now serving his third term, stood at the front with Eric Garcia and other colony leaders. Zentari officials waited alongside them, their skin showing various shades of purple and yellow, respect mixed with nervous anticipation. The ship touched down smoothly on the landing pad, its engines quieting as the ramp extended to the ground. Captain Lisa Wright emerged first, followed by a team of diplomats, scientists, and security personnel. They paused at the bottom of the ramp, taking in the sight of humans and aliens standing together. "Welcome to New Horizon," Governor Miller said, stepping forward to shake Captain Wright's hand. "We've been looking forward to your arrival." Captain Wright nodded, her eyes constantly moving between the humans and Zentari. "Thank you, Governor. Earth sends its greetings." She hesitated before adding, "I admit, seeing your allies in person is quite different from reading reports." Governor Miller smiled. "I understand it took us time to adjust as well, but I hope you'll keep an open mind during your stay." The Earth delegation was given a tour of the colony. They marveled at the technological advances, medical facilities that could heal injuries once considered fatal, energy systems that produced no-waste agricultural domes that yielded 5 times the crops of Earth's best farms. "All of this came from your partnership with the aliens who bombed you?" one Earth diplomat asked, clearly struggling to reconcile the facts. "The Zentari," Eric corrected gently. "And yes, their desire to make amends led to all of this. But more importantly, we learned from each other. This isn't just their technology anymore. It's ours together." Sam Douglas, who now served as the colony's education director, led the tour of the school where human and Zentari children learned side by side. His nephew Billy, now 15, helped explain how the two species communicated. "We understand their color language now," Billy explained to the amazed Earth visitors. "See how Tickrell's skin is green with blue spots? That means he's curious but calm. We don't even need translators for basic communication anymore." That evening, a formal dinner was held to honor the Earth delegation. Captain Wright sat next to Zolteth, occasionally glancing at his color-shifting skin. "May I ask a personal question?" she finally said to him. "Of course," Zolteth replied, his skin showing attentive blue. "Why did your people continue helping humans even after it was clear they had forgiven you? The reports say you've been sending gifts and technology for 5 years." Zolteth considered the question. "At first, it was our way of making amends. But then something unexpected happened." His skin rippled with bands of green, thoughtfulness. "Humans showed us a kind of forgiveness we had never encountered before. In our past, other species demanded reparations, but kept their distance. Humans invited us to build something together. It benefited both sides," Captain Wright observed. "Yes, but that wasn't why we stayed," Zolteth explained. "We stayed because humans taught us something new. That mistakes, even terrible ones, can be the beginning of something better, if both sides are willing to learn from them." The next day, the colony celebrated the 5th anniversary of what they now called the First Misunderstanding. A monument was unveiled in the central plaza, a sculpture showing human and Zentari hands reaching toward each other, created by artists from both species. Governor Miller gave a speech that was transmitted back to Earth. 5 years ago, a tragic error almost ended our relationship with the Zentari before it began. But through understanding, patience, and forgiveness, we transformed disaster into the strongest alliance humanity has ever known with another species. As he spoke, Earth scientists were already meeting with their Zentari counterparts, eager to learn about faster-than-light travel technology that would revolutionize human exploration of space. Earth diplomats were discussing formal treaties of alliance and trade, Military officials were reluctantly admitting that the colony's defense systems, designed jointly by humans and Zentari, were far superior to Earth's best efforts. After the ceremony, Olivia found a quiet moment with Zolteth, away from the crowds. "Do you ever think about how differently things could have turned out?" she asked him. "If you had kept bombing, or if we had tried to fight back?" Zolteth's skin turned a contemplative green. "Often. One error led to tragedy, but your species' response led to friendship. It is a lesson we will teach our children for generations to come." "Our children," Olivia corrected gently. "We're one community now." As the celebration continued, Captain Wright stood apart, watching humans and Zentari dancing together, sharing food, laughing at jokes that needed no translation. She had come expecting to find humans who had been manipulated by alien technology, perhaps even brainwashed. Instead, she found something much more surprising: genuine friendship between different worlds. She made a decision then, one she would report back to Earth. The Zentari were not a threat to be feared, but allies to be embraced. Their peculiar reaction to their own mistake, the embarrassment and dedication to making amends, had created something neither species could have built alone. The sound of children's laughter drew her attention to where Billy was teaching Earth, visitors and young Zentari a game from Earth. The future, she realized, would be built by those who saw differences as opportunities rather than barriers. In the night sky above New Horizon, the stars twinkled with promise. Two species that began with bombs had found their way to peace, proving that sometimes the most unexpected reaction can lead to the most beautiful outcome.